Simply put, reverse marketing is when you're sending like anonymized CVs or floats or speccing, whatever you want to call it, to potential hiring managers or companies that you're trying to target. But it also can be used for companies that you already work with or have worked with in the past.
Welcome to the Tech Savvy Recruiter, the podcast for recruitment and staffing agency owners keen to explore the tech innovations reshaping our industry. I'm Andrew Roger from RecMate.
And I'm Belinda Kerr from Recruitment Garage, and together we're your hosts, bringing you a stellar lineup of tech experts ready to help you understand and, more importantly, benefit from the increasing array of tech available to you today.
Welcome to this edition of the Tech Savvy Recruiter. Today we have Shaun Henry from Floats AI, Oasis fan and founder of Floats AI. Shaun is here to teach us why today is going to be the day that they're going to reply back to you. And by now you should have somehow realized what you got to do. I'm going to stop at that because that was terrible. But Shaun, welcome and thanks for joining us today. Can you please give us a little bit of an overview about who you are and what you do?
Sure, thanks for that. Cringing at myself, but it's lovely.
I'm just cringing at myself, don't worry.
No, I do these silly posts and they seem to work, so I just keep going with it. But
are they getting back together? I read something that they were getting back together.
Yes, Oasis Mania.
There we go. Yeah. Sorry, I'm probably a bit behind it. Anyway, pardon me, Shaun.
Well, it was only relatively recent, BK, so don't feel too bad.
Oh, okay.
So, it's hot off the press. Absolutely buzzing about it. I couldn't be happier. It's been something I've been talking about for years, and now it's here. I have to pinch myself. I don't feel like I'm dreaming. But yeah, look, I'm Shaun. I'm one of the co-founders at Floats.ai. I've spent the last 10 plus years in tech recruitment in Sydney, and over the last 12 months, I've been transitioning from tech recruitment into rec tech. So yeah, decided to switch the words around there. And yeah, look, I get the easy job of talking about Floats, but there's also Scott and Reese, who are the co-founders, who have the difficulty of actually building it. So yeah, I'm glad I'm in this side. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks so much once again for joining us today. We've got a couple of questions to whiz through. The first one we were chatting around a couple of weeks before is let's not assume that everyone knows what floats or reverse marketing might be, because there might be a few listening or viewing this segment that haven't done any reverse marketing or floating before, because we haven't had to over the last couple of years with the buoyancy of the recruitment space. But the tide, I think, has turned where that might be a relatively common term. However, we're not going to assume. So can you, Shaun, explain what that reverse marketing concept is and how you can leverage candidate profiles to help that sales effort?
Yeah, for sure. So simply put, reverse marketing is when you're sending like anonymized CVs or floats or speccing, whatever you want to call it, to potential hiring managers or companies that you're trying to target. But it also can be used for companies that you already work with or have worked with in the past. You know, there's the case of many people think it's just ad chasing, but you can also look at it from marketing emails or targeting accounts. So different variations of it. From a sales perspective, and not to productize people, but we are in the people business, it's opening the conversation with a point of reference or, value, saying, rather than saying, this is what we can do, it's showing them that you understand or have an idea of what people that they might be looking to hire. And it's something I've always believed in. It's how we built Cloud Recruit. So what I've kind of learned over the years from different sales courses and training, it's a lot of these leaders, don't necessarily care about your specialism or your services. And if they do get your email open, it's starting a conversation and it's giving them something to think about because they care about their business, their boss, their company. And if, say, they might have had 2 people leave the team, and you get 2 emails from recruiters the next day, one saying, this is what we can do, this is what we specialize in, or somebody else comes in and goes, this is directly like Shaun and the team. Would you be interested in having a chat? I know what I would be responding to.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it there. We're a service-based industry, aren't we, Shaun? So the more you can productize that service by putting something that somebody could almost hold and feel and touch and breathe and all that kind of stuff. I think the closer you get to that buying event. So yeah, I love that concept around not just saying, hey, this is what we're great at, but here's some proof. Okay, here's some of our product or our service, in a format that might be easily digestible. And to your point, it might be coincidentally best timing in the world for that manager who's about to pull their hair out because he or she's just lost a couple of staff members and their work is going to bank up.
Exactly. And look, even if it's not the right time, if you're sending really good talent, 3 weeks in a row and it comes time to hire, then they already understand what you do. You haven't told them what you do. You've shown them you're going to be the top of the list. And I was speaking to Mike Keaton last week from Attract AI, and he put it brilliantly, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but he was talking about, you go into a shop, there's nothing, no products on the shelves, there's no one in the shop, and there's somebody saying, what would you like? I'll go get it for you. And, you're going, well, what have you got? I don't know really what I'm here for.
Yeah.
And then, they come back to you. It's like, it's fine. Just tell me what you want and I'll go and get it for you. It's a different approach when you're leading with that solution maybe, or, giving them something to think about when they do open that email or message.
Yeah, I love that analogy because it's human nature you have to see it to believe it to want it, and if it's not, as you said, on the shelf, then product B and C, which might be next to the one that you're actually looking for, will never get bought as well. So similar to our services, if you've got different segments of the recruitment value chain offering that you put out to market, then if you're not showing them what you do and giving them an opportunity to really hold on to that, it makes it very difficult for them to say, I want that one.
Yeah, and Shaun, I'd be interested. I've got my views on this, but I've got be interested to know what you get now that you've been sort of like closely, doing floats and closely close to that strategy, I guess is probably the best way to say it. Do you find there's certain markets or certain levels of experience that this works best for? Like, what's your view on that?
Yeah, so definitely there's candidate short markets, or we're seeing a lot of construction, niche technologies, legal, accounting. When they get somebody, it's so short that you get that, that instant kind of response. It's quite scary, the differences in some of the industries. At a seniority level, I did meet with a guy that was just an executive search, and there's less people, there's more. It can work, but it's a bit more. You have to be a bit detailed on it. You kind of have to anonymize everything, keep that the details off. But it's also, it can be effective in anything, but I think to do it at an executive level, it takes a bit more flair and less kind of. Here's the next general manager. It's a bit more precious.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it, isn't there? Yeah. Yeah, I used to find when I did it, I did really well at the lower level because, we were dealing with, media agencies, and they wanted things like full planner buyers, and they were always after heaps of them. So as soon as you found one, you could pretty much guarantee you could place them in there. But at the senior level, I always found it quite hard because there were just too many, there was less to start with, but also too many nuances to the roles to be able to be relevant enough, I think. But yeah, was interested to hear what you thought.
My other thoughts on that would be, it's connecting the dots, right? It's going, right, this person's come from this industry, has this experience, they've built this from scratch, and then you've got a company here that are going on this journey. So it's going, it can work in that regard. It's going, right, I'm really sure that you should be speaking to this person. And when the more conviction you have in that, and the more information and the matching of like the requirements to the person, it's still effective at that level. It depends on how well you know the person that you are reverse marketing as well. So
good
there's
point.
a lot into that side.
Yeah, good point. I used to find that I'd get people coming to me, the senior people that perhaps I'd recruited for, or they were just kind of, looking for something, but often I just couldn't think of anywhere to float them to. But maybe that was just unique to us and our business. So yeah, it's interesting to hear what you say about that too. So let's move on then to AI tools. Obviously, something that's close to your heart. What's your view on how do we utilize how are they utilized to analyze the candidate profiles and then I guess identify the potential sales leads? And are there specific data points we should be thinking about? What are the algorithms looking for? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one.
Yeah. So
it's probably a bit wrapped up in that one.
It's a good one though. Like there's so many different things in terms of AI. A lot of people think of ChatGPT, but there's a lot of different other tools that we've been using to, digital marketing, advisory, research, all these things. But when it comes to analysing candidate profiles, I'm not sure we're there yet. We kind of take it from the other side when you have the person and you've found that talent, and like how do we take it to market? But I know I've used some technologies where it's really crazy. Like you can have what way you should approach them, how long the message should be, kind of getting into the details of the person. Then you've got like scraping tools that can tell you a bit more about the company. So it's gathering all the information so it helps you have a better approach. There's a lot of human aspects that in recruitment that maybe can't be read off a CV, but there are certain things like language that they use, projects that they've been in companies, and you can get a good understanding of the level or, what they've been doing and how it matches the companies that you are targeting. Reading between the lines sometimes in a CV is kind of hard to explain, but as a recruiter, you can look at a CV sometimes and go, there's something about this, and I just, can't put my finger on it. So I think that we've got a bit of catching up to do there. But and where we kind of see it as, right, when you have this person or that you're trying to represent, it's like, how can we make sure that we're maximizing their chances of getting a job as well? So not just the role that you're recruiting for, but you've got something that can open a lot more doors, taking that to market. So it's going, how do we do that in a better way? Make it easier for people to respond or show their interest without that commitment of, okay, I'm going to have to pay for a fee as soon as I open this email. It's going, let's start the conversation. Are these the type of people that you look for? And it's just opening that door. So yeah, I don't know if that's answered your question. I know that there's quite a few tools out there, and when we talk about sales, it's you're kind of taking that carefully.
Yeah, I think you're right, Shaun. I think we are almost there, but not quite yet. Because to your point, there's a lot of that reading between the lines that recruiters do every single day, and candidates aren't usually great resume writers. It's one of those arduous things that they hate doing. It's a big procrastination item for most people. Say, oh gosh, I've got to get my resume together, and I'll do that next week, and then they just go through it as quickly as possible. So it is very difficult to get that brilliant resume that represents that human perfectly and really illustrates all their experience and what they've done and what they might be good for. I think we will get to a stage where Shaun's resume will come through to my desk and the CRM will say, hey, Shaun is a 64% match for the role that Shaun's applied for. However, Shaun's 89, 92 and 98% match for these three other clients that you've had roles previously with. Would you like me to send a reverse float through to those three clients?
Yes, that's exactly where we're going with it. We're at the point where we can make it like digitalize the CV, give it easier to interact with, but it's like the next stage of that is going, well, here's the people you've sent it to recently in your database, but here's also three other people that you don't know that look for that tech stack or them skills. So there's a lot of exciting things coming.
That's great. That's really cool. Right.
Yeah, because I think I haven't seen it yet where systems do look at previously closed jobs or jobs that we've got. I was watching briefs, or some people put jobs on there to do reverse marketing into. So they've got a repository for those resumes they they send through to those hiring managers. But I haven't seen that technology link those ones that I'm not actively recruiting with the inbound applicants for that, a secondary or tertiary job after that, completely separate to those. So I think it's coming though. It's going to be pretty exciting to have your little buddy beside you, helping you recruit every day, doing that lateral thinking for you in an instant, so you've got that resume through, and then you're screening, it's already screened them for this particular opportunity it applied for. But to your point, there's always going to be those between the lines stuff that, I'm not sure how the algorithms will get there, but I'm sure they will eventually. But yeah, I think there's still a long pathway for the human to be involved in some shape or form, to do that stuff that machines can't do just yet.
Look how far it's come just this year. It's moving pretty quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
I think we forget it's like, how new it is. Everybody's, puts in the chat GPT, write me a viral LinkedIn post, and then they right, it didn't work, it didn't go viral in the LinkedIn post, but it's kind of understanding what you're feeding into it and playing the game with chat GPT to get the most out of it. We're definitely in that transition period and we've got a long way to go. But I do also feel that we hear a lot more about AI supervisors. So once this AI is set up, they're kind of managing that. But for me, and what we kind of talk about a lot is managing that human to AI ratio. So we look at it going, we're not here to write your email. We're here to improve your email. You still have to have that first line as a human, because we can all, I don't know what it is about marketing emails, but sometimes you just, before you even open it, it's a marketing email. So it's like, how do we personalize at scale, keep the human element, and then all the other aspects of formatting, setting up interviews, all this stuff that takes a lot of time that we don't necessarily need to be doing. How do we plug that in and make it look pretty and, keep it easier for people to make as well? So yeah, there's a lot happening though. I'm excited to, from a year ago or 18 months ago, I was writing blogs on, coming from tech, spending a bit of time in tech sales and seeing tech target sales off and all this data and insights, and this is who you should be targeting today. And to come into recruitment and we don't really have a lot of that was the aha moment for me, I would say, and saying that we need this.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it's rapidly evolving. One question that's top of mind for me is around, we might have that perfect candidate that we know is placeable. How can AI help me today, let's call it, use that profile to, personalize what might be sent through to potential targeting hiring managers, to make it, a more attractive approach for me to, rather than just saying, here's a potential candidate I thought you might be interested in.
Sure. So a lot of the drive with floats and the mission of even looking at it, and not just floats in general, but AI is saying, okay, well, if I think about somebody in their first 2 years in recruitment in tech and they're going through like a DevOps role with multiple cloud, multiple tech stacks, and they have to get their head around this, it's what we can see is when you can put in a CV, we can start storytelling. So helping them tell the story of the person, probably in a better way than I can do it. And I've been doing it for 10 years. Some of the CVs we put through, I'm going, I wouldn't even really realize that. And I consider myself as a bit of a geek. But being able to tell that story, we're always going back to storytelling. We look at movies, songs like Oasis. It's always about a story. And how do we take that candidate's story to the market rather than here's a list of their skills? And what we will see is, like, especially for people joining the industry or maybe somebody going into a new market, is the AI can actually help them understand what the market is and what the highlights of that person is as well. So when they're going with that message, they're coming with a bit more substance than saying, I've got a great software engineer. It's like, I've got a great software engineer in Node that's built this, and, they built like an app, and, it gets really into the depth of that. So we had one case, actually, I was in a demo, and they were like, right, can we try this with a LinkedIn profile? So we put the LinkedIn profile in, and in the introduction, it came up and he was like, the guy beside me was going, he speaks Spanish or speaks French. I didn't know that. So I can highlight stuff that you might miss that's way down in the bottom of LinkedIn or in the bottom of their CV.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. I mean, if you if you think of any movie, there's always the beginning, middle, and end, and that beginning is something's great, and then all of a sudden something tragic happens, and then they've got to get back from that tragedy to a happy place again. And that whole tens of thousands of years old storytelling format, I don't think gets used enough in our industry, because it's natively something that we listen to and can absorb really easily as humans. So if you can translate your sales pitch into a story, or have the system do that for you, put in a really good prompt saying, using a storytelling format, do X, Y, and Z, or produce a reverse market pitch for this particular profile, etc. It'd be really interesting to do some A/B testing on marketing campaigns using a standard, here's 3 great candidate profiles. If you'd like to, have a chat with any one of them, please let me know. As opposed to using that other framework, I can almost guarantee you what the results would look like.
Yeah,
for sure.
Shaun, let's dig into the nitty-gritty here a little bit. How do you think leveraging AI for reverse marketing really will impact the conversion rates? Maybe you've got some examples so far, or if not, I know it's relatively new days. That's okay.
Yeah. So like anything, the more you put into it, the better results you're going. The more targeted you are, the better. But what we're seeing, it's been a really tough market. We started off in the tech space, and what we've seen is people really struggling to get anything at all coming in the first week, taking a bit of time to do their first floats and starting to pick up clients in that first week of using floats. So it's very hard for me to just say, right, and there's more A/B testing, to your point, Andrew, that we need to do on this. But, people can turn around and say, well, I might have done that. But then the next, if I was sending my normal way, but then the next week they get another meeting, and then it starts to become like you've got 60%, 70% more meetings booked in than before. It could be, it can be a lot more depending on how much effort you put into it. But there's other tools as well, like that. You can approach people and get their details. So it's all about like the quality still, but with the ability to use AI to get as much information to craft your message. Where we kind of see it as like not so much AI as copywriting, because that's one use for it, but I've spent a lot of time on using AI to create videos or like presentations, and just uplifting that brand, so that when you're not sending like a PDF CV that could go anywhere and you've no idea, it's going right. Well, how do we send it in a more of a digital way where they can interact? We can track that so that we know then that we're spending time on the people that are interested, and not maybe so much on chasing. Like there's a lot of time wasted on people that are never going to do business with you, and you can't quantify that a lot. So when it comes to that side of things, I think there's a huge benefit.
I love the way I want to just pick up on something that you said there, Shaun, was you can monitor the metrics so you can see when people are opening and interacting. And I think that's great, isn't it? Because often we just send things out, they go into the black hole, and we're chasing, trying to find out. So I love that sort of gateway is there. You can see more, that visibility is there. So then on that, what are some of the other success metrics that perhaps aren't even available, kind of the old, let's call it the analog way, that we can look at now? Are the other success metrics different? What should people be looking at to make sure that they're making the most of AI generated leads, I guess, for want of a better word?
I think quality and time is two things that I would be looking at. If it's like, I have this thing where if something takes me 30 minutes, anything, I will be going, okay, is there a tool for this? Like, we talked about, everybody's kind of talking about AI and will this take my job and whatever, but we had the same with computers, we had the same with the internet, we had the same with, there was an app for that. I always talk about, there's an app for that. Apps came around. Now we've got 30 in our phone that we don't even really consider as, we don't even realize we're in all these different technologies. So the quicker we can actually maybe step away from the AI label and go, right, well, this is technology and this allows me to do my job quicker. And I think for me, it's always speed and time. Maybe it's, that's one of the success metrics I tracked a bit too much, but yeah, if there's it's like, right, how much time am I spending on following up with people? Who should I be following up with people? And how long is it taking me to maybe get this presentation together? If it's 40 minutes you're spending on building slide decks, is there something that can do this in 15 minutes that, and some of these metrics I get really into from looking at response rates, what we like, most people will have some tracking of opening emails, but we can know that that's not a very, one, it's not 100% accurate, and like HubSpot can't get it 100% accurate because there's different monitors and bots and antiviruses. But when we look at then if they're clicking on this or if they're viewing more, if they're booking a meeting, we can track all that, and then that's a buy-in sign. So how do we use the buy-in signs to start our workflow, start our day? These are the top 5 people. I'm going to spend an hour there. So maybe that's not the right answer, but I spend a lot of time looking at how to reduce time and improve the quality at the same time. So yeah, 2 aspects I always look at.
No, I think what you've said is fine, and really what you're saying there, it's actually no different whether it's AI generated or it's something you're doing manually. It's still quality and time. There's still there's still good metrics, whichever way you look at it. No, that's cool. That's fine.
You mentioned that maybe we shouldn't be talking about AI or labeling AI. It should be more, being enabled more by the technology that we've got in front of us. So I won't use the term AI in this next question, but I was going to say, whilst that word offers powerful tools for identifying and nurturing leads, how can the technologies that we're afforded still, not take over what we need to do as humans, because we will still need to have that human touch. And I was just thinking as we've been chatting, do you have any sort of tips or tricks around how sales team can balance that use of technology with those personal touch points to build, stronger and more genuine relationships with their target markets?
Yeah, I think you might sound silly coming from a company with AI in it, but I believe that we have to really protect the human element as possible. And I think what's happening is it's naturally evolving that way. So we're seeing ChatGPT come in, everybody was generating content, and then everybody was like, well, this is obviously a computer, I'm not going to interact with this. And we've already seen people come back to writing their own LinkedIn posts, writing their marketing, speaking in a human language. We can use AI to look at buying signals and information and looking at it that way. But like, how do we personalize at scale so that the reader feels that email's for me? I tried it for about 6 months, tried to do like a lot of the posting and on LinkedIn and that too, but it's really not as effective as you writing the first line. So what we look at is going, right, well, you have the first line to say this is a human, and we take care of all the rest where it's presented, everything from the formatting to being able to set up interviews, all this kind of stuff is taken care of.
Well, I think that probably just relates to that. That comment you made earlier around taking time away from the recruiter. So, do the personalised stuff, and we'll do the heavy lifting and, the reformatting or the getting the information in the right order, highlighting the right things from that particular profile, etc. And we'll just let you focus on what you're good at, the human stuff, right? Because, I think we all spend a chunk of time. I did a case study for a company a few years back around reference checking, and they were spending on average 37.5 minutes per reference check. From the voice over the phone, documenting the call, tidying up my notes, getting in a client-ready format and out the front door. There's products out there that, the recruiter doesn't get involved with in the initial stages. It comes back to them. They review it. They've got the chance to speak to the referee if they want to, but that's, hugely compacts time for me to get on to the more human stuff, right? So, I love that sort of philosophy around let's put us in the right spot for us to do the right things, and then take away that stuff that we're not really very good at as humans or sales professionals, because there's a bunch of stuff that we are brilliant at. But leave a sales professional with doing some admin or back office stuff, and you're going to, drive your business into the ground pretty quickly, I reckon. There are unicorns out there, but I've only met about 3 in the industry in my 25 plus years that do both really well.
No, that's super interesting. In fact, it was funny. I actually put a post up on LinkedIn this week asking if the 360-degree recruiter model was out of date. And I thought it would be a resounding yes, but 72% of the people came back and said no, and gave different, their different reasons. But what was interesting was that so many people had quite a different take on what that looked like for their business. And I guess it's the same here, isn't it? Like these tools that we're using, everybody's going to find their flow and their rhythm and what really works for them. And it just comes down to, use case and what's right for your business and the market that you're in. Shaun, I really love this conversation because I think you've tapped on something that there's an opportunity, and just steal those words of the famous Richard Branson, solve a problem for somebody and you'll do really well. And I think what you guys are doing is solving a problem. And here's your chance. We always love to give our guests an opportunity to talk about their product, because we want to, we obviously want to connect you guys with the market and the people that are using them and help them understand them. So let's hear a little bit more about Float's AI and also how people can reach out and contact you.
For sure. So initially we started out with just tech CVs because, funnily enough, this all started with a reference call. I had placed a developer. It took me a couple of months to find him, and his CTO had built Sirius.dev. So it was a tech profiles, digital tech profiles, because he was a CTO receiving these like CVs, and they weren't reflective of the engineer because they're not salespeople. They're not spending time being able to craft these messages to stories. They're logical people. They're going, this is what I've done. And then they get into an interview and it's amazing. So with Floats, then we started going, right, well, how do we take this, what we've got, and start building to help recruiters? So how do we get them to put them out quicker? Also, what we do is pick a CV, generate it through OpenAI, take all the personal details. It doesn't send to OpenAI, so we don't have to come into that privacy concerns. And then we send digital snapshots so that they can click into that portal. They can have more information, and you can choose exactly what information from the CV that you want to share. So it's not the whole text-heavy PDF CV. It's like it could be a role, it could be a project, whatever it is, and it's just presenting that in a better way and an easier way for people to respond. And you, as you say, like you also have that tracking to, if they don't respond, you can pick up the phone and follow up as well.
Great. I think you guys, I did have a look at your site before, and I think you offer a demo and a free trial. Have I got that right?
Yes, so we have opened up free trials. So just request try Floats, and we can give you a week's trial to see what you think, and then come in and help you get the most out of it.
Amazing, cool. And you also have your own podcast, so let's give you a plug there, because I'm sure that's lots of fun as well. What's your podcast called?
It's called Sourcing the Truth. It's based on trying to help recruiters, especially maybe in that first 2 years in the industry, to help them get to quality outreach and quality output. So yeah, we have people that have been in the industry, people from other tech recruitment tech companies, and we just come in similar to this, just have a chat and talk about things that people are interested in, and giving some actionable insights that they can take away and put into their daily lives.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so that's one to follow. And Shaun, any other sort of final tips or thoughts that you'd like to share?
Yeah, for sure. Look, if anybody does have a reverse marketing, or keen to do more reverse marketing, always happy to have a chat. It doesn't have to be come in buy our product. I'm always kind of keen to give insights into that, and reach out through LinkedIn or send me an email at shaun@floats.ai, or send pigeon or letters, anything.
A snail with a little backpack.
Yeah, exactly. Smoke signals. But yeah, always happy to have a chat with anybody that has an interest in this, even if it's not reverse marketing. We've got a lot of plans in the future in terms of how we can look at the whole of the marketing, with job descriptions, submissions, and everything. So yeah.
Great. So this is just step one. Well, it's been really insightful. So anything else more from you, Rogie?
That's it from me today. Thanks, Shaun, once again for joining us. It's been fantastic, really insightful. I've just subscribed to your podcast as well, so you've got another follower there, and look forward to listening to some of the backlog there too.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thanks a million, Shaun, and all the very best to what you guys are doing. I love what you're doing, and look forward to seeing how it evolves over time as well.
Thank you, thanks, and I love what you guys are doing. Keep going, and I'm always listening. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Good on you. We've got 3 fans now, Roger.
We do. Yeah. My dad,
your mother, my mother, and Shaun.
Yeah, exactly right. That's it.
That's all you need.
That's right.
Well, on that note, I might say goodbye.
Yeah, thanks, Shaun. See you,
guys. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Tech Savvy Recruiter. If you'd like to stay up to date with the latest recruitment trends and insights, make sure that you remember to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And also, if you'd like to speak to Andrew about turning your tech stack into your secret weapon, or myself around creating an agency that delivers you more money, more meaning, and more freedom, we'd absolutely love to chat. Reach out to us on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for your support. We look forward to seeing you next time.